Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Guðrún Ólafsdóttir, or Gúa, as some of you might know me as, and I'm a product director and development manager in our offices in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia, where I'm located now. And in this webinar, we will be focusing on something that we have been calling LS Core. And I will also talk about GoCurrent, but let's start with LS Core. So what is LS Core? Well, LS Core is basically an implementation guide for setting up LS Central. And as in fact, it's a methodology, not a module or a product, we decided to change the name to LS Central Implementation Guide or Guidelines. And when the team took over the project, we decided to define the vision for it to help us figure out what we wanted to do. And this is our vision. We want to continuously deliver rapid and guided user experience. And to establish what was most important about the vision, we defined our values. And our values are empathy, as it's important because it helps us understand what you are experiencing so we can respond to it appropriately. Clarity, as we want to crystallize what is utmost important and make it very clear. Efficiency, as it's important for profitability. With efficiency, we save both time and money. And then we defined the methods to illustrate how we would get the job done. We wanted to define the core of LS Central to know what is the minimum set of actions and data needed to get the product up and running to be able to run basic and simple retail store. And we also wanted to create a base structure that is easy to maintain and plug in additional features and implementation types, as we believe that with a basic understanding of the core of the product, it will make implementations of more complex installations and additional features easier, simpler, and faster. And I hope you're not expecting some magic or one button implementation for global company with 1,000 store and 10,000 POSs, because then you will be disappointed. But let's have a look what we have been doing. The implementation guidelines are already available in the LS Central Help. You simply select the implementation option that opens the implementation guide, and this is how the guide looks like. The guide has this left side panel overview for easy navigation, and we are hoping that the structure is clear and it should be easy to add in more implementation guides for additional features, like, for example, loyalty and other modules and more complex implementations. In LS Central, you will be able to find assisted setup for setting up LS Central. This assisted setup, that is a wizard, will guide you through the setup process, and you can choose between setting up an evaluation company or a production company. And from the assisted setup, you are able to download data packages. In these packages, we have prepared for you data for setting up evaluation or sample data company and data for setting up production company. We have prepared some training material that include a walk around in the POS and back office, and where we describe the most common processes, like how to do end of day, returns, and how to set up discounts, and so on. This training material can be used for training the customer and also training new consultants and developers. As it says here, the guide is to provide an outline used to implement LS Central and includes recommended timelines and import methods, as well as important criteria when implementing areas of LS Central. The guidelines include 6 basic steps: business overview, best practices, implementation plan, installation and configuration, data setup and configuration, and processes. The business overview chapter is to help you get an overview of the implementation project. It's also to help you to choose the best deployment option and recommendations relating to hardware such as servers, storage, and so on. In the guideline, we have these 2 deployment options, that is on-premises and SaaS in Dynamics 365, and we will add the hybrid option that was released in version 15.3 very soon, probably just after the weekend. We have some high-level recommendation for SaaS in Dynamics 365 and high level also for on-premises. We have defined different level or sizes of installations and the best practices for setting up servers and services for each level. The definition is small, medium, and the medium plus are only used here to differentiate between levels. We are not talking about number of transactions or size of the item master. And we have collected some best practices, and it would be greatly appreciated if you have some more you would like to share with us, and also if you could share with us if there are any areas you would need a better understanding, and we will do our best to add it in there too. We have some system recommendations from LS Retail Consultants and Microsoft, and some setup best practices for store and POS setup in LS Central. Now, when you have got the structure and selected the best implementation method, we get to the implementation plan. That is to plan what needs to be done and how many hours the project will take. We have made some estimates based on using the standardized chart of accounts included in that is included in the pre-configured data packages. And I repeat, this is just an estimate based on experience and is only here for you to have something to compare with. Within the implementation plan, we have more details what is involved in each step, like project management, infrastructure, data config and setup, and so on. Now, by going through the business overview, we know how the landscape is, that is how many POSs, stores, and so on, and which implementation method would be the best, and the implementation plan should have helped us to plan the project. And now we should be ready to get on with the work and start the setup and installation. Under the installation and configuration part, you find guidance for the steps you need to take and what needs to be installed in head office, store, and point of sale, based on the implementation method you are going to use. Now, when we have gone through the installation and hardware and software is ready, we need to prepare the database or the company for the customer. But before we dive into that, I would like to talk about the data packages I mentioned before. These packages include data for evaluation company and basic setup for production company. We only have one set of packages, and the data in the packages will definitely not fit every customer in every country. Within the download, you will find an Excel file which has a list of all the business tables or the tables and the data included in the production packages. So you will have an overview of what is included in the packages. And there are two ways, or maybe more ways, to customize the packages, but I'm going to talk about two of them here. You can, for example, import the packages into the company without applying the data, and then amend the data in the templates before applying. That is the first option. And the second one is you will find an empty package called prod.template that you can import into a company you have already set up and then export to create your own data packages. Within LS Central, you will find assisted setup called Setup LS Central. And in the setup, you can choose to set up sample company, which could be useful for training and for reviewing the system capabilities. This is not a full LS Central demo company as you know it. It's a simple setup, but we will add on more packages in the near future. The production setup data creates a company that is similar to the evaluation sample data company with the same setup data, but without sample data like items and so on. And when you start the wizard, you will be guided through the typical Microsoft company setup. And when you have finished that, it's time to import some data. From the wizard, you can select to download packages from LS Retail Partner Portal and then select the files to import. The next step is to add retail users, as you need it to be able to run the POS, and you would need at least one user to be a POS super user to be able to modify the POS setup. Then we come to the part where you can download templates and fill it with your data. In the first version, we support business data like customers, vendors, and barcodes. Before you import, you can specify import settings for customers, vendors, and items by selecting a template for it. And that's it. You could run the POS straight away and start selling. So now the data setup is finished, or the import. And if you need to make any additional adjustments, or you are not using the packages we have gathered from the guidelines, or for manual setup, like we have gathered some guidelines for manual setup like finance, and then also for retail. In the data package, we only have one setup for the POS, but it's easy to add more layouts, and in the guide we show you the best way to do that. We use this layout in the training material, and you can also find the same, you will be able to find the same layout in LS Central demo database. It's not in current version, but it will be very soon. And the profiles are called one button. But if you would like to get this layout and use the training material, you can of course import it through the import-export worksheet from the package that we provide. Under processes, we have training material for back office and POS, like walk around and the most common processes. This is an example on walk around in back office, where we explain the store setup and some retail items and sales price, and some offer setups like deal, promotion, and discount offers, and mix and match. And the retail users. This is just an example on what's in the training material and the walk around. And there are some more examples on processes in back office, like how to do inventory counting, where we step through the process. And the same goes for creating statement or for the end of day. We guide you from creating the statement to post the statement within four steps or so. And what to do when you need to close a period. The same goes for the POS. We have walk around, and here are some examples. We explain the logon menu and functions menu, the manager menu, and there are many more in the walk around to that you can use or have a look around. Then we have also gathered some or created some training material for the most common processes, like how to add float entries and declare tender in the end of the day, how to print X report and Y, and then we have gathered some common processes for accounting too, but we don't have any walk around there. Now let's have a look at Go Current. This was the guide, and now let's have a look at Go Current. I'm not going to go into technical details of Go Current. I'm just going to show you how we in LS Retail are using it and how much time and struggles it has saved us. As you can see, we basically have a fan club in some of them, and some of them are even fighting over who is the biggest fan. And I'm going to show you two Go Current services we are using in LS Retail. It's get latest version and keep it up to date, and the self-service portal. If we start looking into get latest release within LS Retail domain, we have access to several installers where we quickly can install the latest version, for example, the latest version of LS Central on our computer. What happens when we click on this link is that a Go Current client will be installed on our computer and starts to download and install all the components you need to run the latest version of LS Central. And when the installation finishes, you will have a shortcut from where you can run the web client. You can then use the Go Current client to check for updates, download and update. And if I quote one of our consultants, she says that the best part of it is that she can now easily update to the latest version without creating a new database. So she will still have all her test data available. So if you have an installation on your computer and LS Retail releases a new version of LS Central, we can just use our Go Current client to update our system on our local computer. The second service we use a lot is the self-service portal. The most common service we use is to release to container. From the self-service portal, we select that option and which localization we want to create a container for. Then we select the version we are going to use. And then we decide for how many days we want to have access to the containers. In this case, the container will be deleted after 2 days. Around 2 minutes later, the container has been created. And yeah, it took like 2 minutes. And then I get an email with a link to the container. username and password to log in. And in this case, nothing is installed on my computer. And I agree with Urður when she says it's the best thing that happened to installation processes for someone that often had been struggling with the old processes and is not an IT nerd. You would not need to have any technical knowledge to be able to do this, and nothing is installed on the computer. But as I said, this is only available within LS Retail domain as is. But just like we have set up these GoCurrent services for our staff, you can do it too for your customers or your staff. If you have set up a GoCurrent server, you can get the latest packages from LS Retail Release Manager and then be able to update and distribute through your GoCurrent server if the customer is using standard LS Central. Or you can pull the package from LS Release Manager, do some testing with your additions, and then create your own package and distribute to customers. As is, you can only get the packages from or between servers from the LS Retail Release Manager to your GoCurrent server. And to support you, and if you need help to get started with GoCurrent, we have two places for you where it's good to start. We have the online help, and then we have a Yammer group to support you. And we are also planning a more technical and in-depth webinar about GoCurrent and a training session. And we will keep you posted on that. And last but not least, I have a surprise for you. And for you, my friend, we will be making the Get Latest version available for all partners. We are setting up services around the globe for you to access and download the latest version and keep your installation up to date. So as we speak, we are setting up these services, and we will also keep you posted on that. But when we have set it up, you can, from our portal, click on a link and get the latest version, and the GoCurrent client will be installed on your computer. And the GoCurrent, through the GoCurrent client, you will be able to get the latest version and keep your system up to date. But we are also looking into making the self-service portal available too. We haven't decided yet, how and when we are going to do this. I'm not sure if we are going to host containers for you, or maybe it would be, creating a container and making it available for download, or we could maybe copy it over to Azure service that you have subscribed to. But we will also keep you posted on that. And why are we doing this? Yes, we want to speed up the implementation time. And also, we want to quickly onboard new partners and also consultants with our partners, current partners. And we want to improve quality and minimize risk in implementations, and hopefully increase sales. So that was it for me. And thank you all very much for attending and taking time to listen to this, and also for your questions. And thank you very much.